Recently, I was invited to address business management students from a prominent university on the topic of entrepreneurship. Of course, it is the new normal time of pandemic, so the address was via video conferencing. The students, too, having vacated the hostel, were spread across the country. There were several constraints in such kind of presentation, and that triggered the process of reimagining how, in a resource constrained and resource stretched environment, entrepreneurship flourishes. While it is quite easy to understand the growth of entrepreneurs in a relatively stable environment, using conventional wisdom of using tools such as advanced planning, forecasting, etc., how does one analyze the emergence of entrepreneurship in an unprecedented climate? In this podcast, I will try to understand and explain to some extent the role of bricolage, or what in India sometimes derisively called as Jugad, in evolving and nurturing entrepreneurship. Let me start by explaining what entrepreneurial bricolage is, or as I said, what is called a Jugad. It means creating something from nothing and applying combinations of resources at hand to new problems and opportunities. A very apt example would be of an Indian housewife. Imagine, without any prior intimation, few guests arrive at home. What will she do? Using whatever is available, she quickly churns out something that is delicious and tasty. For all that, she may not have tried this dish before. This kind of hands-on approach, what I call as creative reinvention, involves developing solutions through resource repackaging, transposing, and recombining. It also implies the entrepreneur's refusal to see limitations on known existing resources. So basically, a bricolier always looks for a solution even when not possessing suitable resources or skills designed for that specific context. The famous rock garden in the city of Chandigarh in North India, in the state of Punjab, which is essentially made up of scrap materials like broken bottles, bangles, ceramic pots, electrical parts, and broken pipes, and is a classic example of bricolage and Jugaad to create a unique garden. During the pandemic, many export houses manufacturing ready-made garments were shut down due to lack of orders. We all know that these large export houses employ several thousands of workforce who primarily depend on their wages for survival. What did some of the companies do? They immediately changed their product line from garments to masks. This is another example of bricolage. Some other noteworthy bricolage examples in India are converting an old fridge into a disinfection chamber, converting a pressure cooker into sterilizer tank, using the selfie stick for thermal testing, and the list goes on and on. Actively solving a new problem by combining whatever is at hand is creative innovation at its best. One of the necessary ingredients for actively solving problems is an inquisitive mind, coupled with curiosity, and above all, an ability to relate seemingly unrelated things and making a profound sense out of it. That's the reason why Newton, after the apple fell on his head, did not merely eat, but discovered the principle of gravitation. Likewise, Archimedes did not continue enjoying his bath in his bathtub, but ran shouting Eureka, having discovered the principle. Success in any enterprise depends on one's ability to think on its feet, or maybe on its head. Ability to relate and make sense out of disconnected elements, and finding novel uses of existing and often meager resources. Of course, one needs to have the innate abilities of risk-taking, a passion for accomplishment, and above all, a curious and alert mind. Let me dwell briefly about the Indian Jugaad. It is often derisively said that India is the land of Jugaad, a Hindi word which means an economical makeshift solution in situations where resources are scarce. Jugaad for many is a way of life. Indians have a low-cost practical solution to almost every problem. There are thousands of examples from our everyday life where individuals, often without any formal training or education, have come out with solutions that are stunning in its use. For past several years, I have been studying entrepreneurship among smallholder farmers in Africa. As we know, most of the agriculture in Africa is smallholder, 70%. The smallholder farmer often has to operate in a resource-constrained environment. It is in this kind of an environment and ambience, bricolage strategy often produces great results. Let me try to sum up the main principles of bricolage, or Jugaad as I have understood. We need to appreciate the fact that bricolage is a skill that all need to cultivate, and its significance during the pandemic can never be underestimated. While Jugaad or Jugaadu mentality is good, too much of experimentation is also not desirable, as it may be counterproductive and may not result in anything worthwhile. As bricolage is an acquired skill, we need to experiment and learn through trial and error, and finally the insight. It does not matter what comes out at the end is something we never anticipated in the beginning. It is learning anyways. Developing a creative mindset, risk-taking, and producing something that is relevant and useful to society is the ideal way of nurturing and fostering innovation. And bricolage or Jugaad is one way to accomplish that which we should respect and not look down upon. Thank you.